and whether to indeed ease pressure on the public purse as we have challenges confronting the nation's economy. And e-services gold mine, and that story is also on page 14. According to some experts, you should take advantage of that if you want to read more on that paper, more on that story, rather get a copy of the paper Wednesday's edition of the Daily Graphic. Of course, you've seen that the papers have been inundated with stories relating to the economy. It tells you how crucial the time is for the nation Ghana and also the world as well. The geopolitical events and the post-effect of COVID-19 are still having a toll on the Ghanaian economy as well as many other economies in the world. The minority are of the view that certain measures are not properly implemented or adopted, and that has resulted in the difficulties. That the last paper that we have. Okay, let's end with the Ghanaian Times. ECOWAS Community Court seat in Accra poised to hear 60 delivered judgment in 25 years, and that was on Wednesday. It has the picture of President Akufo-Addo, who called on the ECOWAS courts to help in the settling or mediation of issues in the sub-region. I'll be introducing my guests for today's discussion now. On my immediate left is the Honorable Rockson Nelson Defeamekpor, the Member of Parliament for South Dayi. Of course, he may not be happy with the rendition, but he allows me. Today, Ghana is facing Nigeria today, and he's clad in the Black Star attire and having the flag grounded. You look sporty. I'll be picking your expectation of today's game. Just after him is Palgrave, Boakye Danquah, who is government spokesperson on security. I will later be joined by the Institute of Energy Security. Of course, the issue about fuel has also dominated discussion in the last couple of weeks in the country. Of course, since the start of the year, we've seen more than 50% increase in the prices of in export prices of petroleum products, petrol and diesel, I mean. So we'll be looking at these issues. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Let me start with you, Honorable. The Ghanaian Times on the back page has the story of the Black Stars. It says, after weeks of never jangling weight, Ghana's Black Stars will renew their age-long rivalry with Nigeria's Super Eagles in the Qatar 2022 World Cup playoff tonight. And the venue for the match is the Barbera Sports Stadium in Kumasi. Of course, the Americans will all be trooping to rally behind the Black Stars as we expect them to do justice to the Nigerian counterparts. What's your expectation of tonight's game? I can see you are in the spirit.
It's those who know me and know my family background know that we've always loved sports. I've always been a lifelong supporter of the Black Stars. There's something unique about football in this country, particularly our national game. It's arguably the greatest unifier. Not religion, certainly not politics, and not any other social activity, not even education, but sports. Because you see, sports, apart from the individual sports like boxing, all the other sporting activities, it consists of a teamwork. So you have people of different backgrounds coming together to achieve the same objective for the country. And so with that microcosm, it unifies the country. If I have somebody from the Volta region in the Black Stars, we are happy. If somebody is from Bron in the Black Stars, the people of Bron are happy. Somebody from Ashanti in the Black Stars, the Ashantis are happy. Everybody. So Black Stars, our national team, become a rallying point to unify the country. And believe you me, and let me say this by way of opening remarks. Look, if we beat Nigeria today, the prospects that it will have on our economy, on our public purse, will be far greater than what the finance minister said yesterday. I tell you no lie. And so
I'll take that on a low key.
Yes. And so I believe that we must all as a people rally behind Black Stars, notwithstanding the issues. Today, we need 3-0. We need it. Because you see, we'll be going back to Alata next week. We must be comfortably at home and go and drag it out with them out there. And so, on that note, I want to wish the Blasters the very best of luck. They are playing their most favorite stadium, which is the Baba Yara Stadium. I think we've won more matches in Kumasi than in Accra. There's some myth about it. I don't know why. So I was very happy when the match was taken to Kumasi. It's our favorite ground in terms of our international encounters. So go Black Stars, go deliver.
And surprisingly, start of the week, we had even tickets were running out. Tells you how people are into the game despite the fact that we're not impressed with the performance of the Black Stars there in the AFCON. Palgrave, let me pick your thoughts on that you share.
Absolutely. Very good morning to you and to Honorable and to your viewers. I think that yes, sports is a great unifier globally, and we are looking forward to the game tonight. We wish the Black Stars the best. They should go and represent Ghana. As you can see, Honorable is fully fledged in the Ghana representation.
Maybe it's because the first deputy speaker said they should be in Black Stars jersey, and Honorable being an adherent member of Parliament.
well, maybe partly, but it's also something that I do. And as a Manchester United fan, I do appear in our college.
There you go. But really, I mean, we wish the Black Stars the best, and I'm not sure about the 3-0, but I mean they should come out with a win. I think
a good win. A good win.
They should come out with a win. But I'm sure that once we are done with this program, a number of us will have an opportunity of preparing ourselves to go to Kumasi to cheer the young people on.
Well, the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, yesterday outlined sweeping spending cuts as government seeks to raise extra 3.5 billion Ghana cedis saving from expenditure originally planned for the year. In that address also we've had a lot of measures cutting travel of state agencies and government appointees and rolling back some measures introduced initially to ensure that the pressure on the public purse is eased, especially in this difficult time. The austerity measures are expected to enhance confidence in the Ghanaian economy and as well attracts investors as we are struggling to penetrate into the capital markets. Earlier in the week, we had the Bank of Ghana hiking the policy rate by 2.5%, and that is aimed at helping to tame inflation, which has seen or risen to a 7-year high, and that's not good for an economy of ours. There have been criticism that the Bank of Ghana delayed in adopting such a measure because of the huge capital injection in the way of stimulus that was introduced to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. The central bank should have adopted these measures much earlier. But the conversation has started, and many are asking what's the impact of these measures rolled out by the finance minister would have in terms of addressing the economic challenges and providing the relief Ghanaians have been asking for. Of course, we've seen fuel prices going astronomically high since the start of the year. That is partly because of the geopolitical tension, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and also many factors, including the depreciation of the local currency, as well as the taxes in the ex-pump, the price build-up. We'll unpack the many things that the minister said bit by bit to help you appreciate what he means. And of course, he said he's hopeful the e-levy will be passed by the end of this month. We have the Member of Parliament on the minority side in the studio with us. Palgrave is also here. He speaks for governments. We'll be asking why the minister is confident of getting the e-levy passed, and also why the minority insists the e-levy should not go through. Palgrave, let me start with you on this one before I bring in the Honorable Rockson. The finance minister, there was anticipation that he's going to roll out a lot of measures that will help alleviate the hardship that Ghanaians are going through now as a result of many factors. The minority says the measures outlined will not be much in terms of the impact that it will make. You just heard your colleague here saying the win against Nigeria will even be better for the Ghanaian economy compared to the measures outlined by the finance minister. What do you say about? Do you have to say about that?
So let me begin with the football game. I mean, obviously, when Ghana wins, it adds on, because if the country is not within the environment of peace and stability, we wouldn't have had an opportunity to even play our football here. So it adds on to government's own efforts and what government has been doing, I mean, over the years. You know that prior to the Minister for Finance having an opportunity to present to the country a presser and some measures that have been put in place, it has come about as a result of cabinet retreat, I mean, which was held last week Wednesday up until Sunday. And there were a number of reviews and conversations that happened during the cabinet retreat. And I know I want us to come into this, but I would like to just give a bit of them just for people that haven't had an opportunity of viewing, especially because it's a weekly press review. So the first was that, I mean, President highlighted how well we have managed our COVID situation and his desire to open the land borders within the next few days. And so over the next few days, we'll see that economic activities would begin between the various borders that we have in the country. People in Ghana can go to Togo, people in the upper north can go to Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast and the like, and be able to do businesses as they would want to. So there's a ministerial task force that is doing a bit of the last rounds to be able to bring an advice to the president on what that looks like, and we'll be able to review those protocols from the airport and then also from the land borders. The second really is the global issues that are happening. I mean, as a result of COVID, clearly the world is not the same, and the world is not going to be the same post-COVID. So a number of economies are now recovering, and in the desire and the spirit of recovery, nobody expected that Russia would invade Ukraine. So clearly, there's been a bit of a stage of some conversations that are happening globally, and its impact obviously impacts Ghana as a smaller economy. The number of importation that we have from Ghana to Ukraine and Russia, Ukraine and Russia as well, that's a number of importations into our country. So those bilateral businesses, as a result of what is happening, is impacting the country. So the president stated that yes, the Bank of Ghana governor, the Minister for Finance, Minister of Energy hold consultative meetings to be able to see what measures can be put in place. The third was that, yes, government has about 16 flagship programs, and there's a goal to review those 16 flagship programs and see which of them can go on autopilot. And I'd like to bring some clarity on how policies come to full civic responsibility and full materialization. The first stage of policy is that it starts from a political party policy, which is what they will typically use for a campaign. And then the second stage is when the political party wins an election, it becomes a government policy. Then there's a final stage of the policy when it becomes a civic responsibility, where the entire Ghanaian people or the entire community of that particular country accepts that, yes, this policy is good for us and we're going to go ahead with it. So, and there were conversations around looking at those policies and broad scale, seeing what measures can be put in place. Those that will not necessarily need government interventions can go autopilot and begin to go with this level of implementations. And then those that have not been implemented well, maybe have 10% implementation, 15% implementation. As a result of where we find ourselves, we need to be able to just put ourselves within that space of either freezing those policies. Then Monday, the Bank of Ghana governor, I mean, obviously had a presser to be able to share with the Ghanaian people the fiscal policy rating that we've put together. And then Thursday, yesterday, the finance minister had a conversation clearly on what government is attempting to do. He stated 5 things, and I'd like to go through. He says that as a result of what is happening around the world, I mean, it's brought difficulties in 5 major areas in the country. The first is rise in fuel prices. The second is inflation and cost of living. The third is exchange rate depreciation. The fourth is rising in interest rates. And then the fifth, finally, is revenue mobilization challenges. Then he gave a background of all the global issues, the domestic economic developments, spoke largely about Russia-Ukraine war, which began on the 24th of February. I mean, we've come almost 4 weeks, almost 32 days of that invasion. And then also stated that as at the time, the NDC government took us into IMF, and we had to come and finish the program by 2019. There were a number of things that we've still been doing, even in the midst of all of these issues, that over the period we have achieved an annual average real GDP growth of 7% between 2017 to 2019 from 3.4% as we received in 2016. He also stated very clearly that we've maintained a fiscal deficit below 5% of GDP for the consecutive years. The third is that we've also maintained a primary positive balance for 3 consecutive years, which put our debt on a sustainable path. The fourth is that we've lowered lending rates by over 10% points. We've restructured the banking sector, and we've saved and protected depositors of close to about 4.6 million. And we've strengthened the financial sector, and so far government has spent close to about 25 billion Ghana cedis since 2018 for the cleaning banking cleaning sector. And it's important that we share these highlights because it gives us what the next steps looks like. We've reduced inflation by 15.4%
from 15.4
from 15.4% to 7.6%.
Although it's back at 15.7 now.
No, but then you see you do not want to discount the work that has been done. I mean, clearly we have reduced inflation from 15.4% in December 2016 to 7.6%. It is back primarily because of the issues that we have now. It's COVID, it's Ukraine-Russia war. I mean, our international reserves, improved our gross international reserves but to reach close to about 8.6 billion US dollars, which covers import duties. Now, we have implemented, and you know, free SHS. I've heard people speak about the fact that are we going to touch free SHS, and I've stated very confidently that amongst all the various legacies that President Danquah will leave for the good people of this country, one of them is education. And so clearly, having campaigned massively on education from 2016 and won marginally by 1 million votes and implemented a free SHS flagship program in less than 100 days of his first term, I think that clearly free SHS is not going to be something that we are going to take away. Okay. Those conversations were held. I know that you want me to be able to move on faster, quickly. But moving on faster, let me just come to the expenditure. I mean, in terms of things that we have cut. Earlier on at the beginning of the year, we had cut 20% of expenditure, general expenditure from MDAs. Yesterday, we added an extra 10%. That gives us 30% cuts.
Discretionary.
Discretionary, yes, absolutely. I mean, that gives us 30% cuts. The second as well is that, yes, state-owned agencies, fuel coupon allocation for political appointees, 50% cuts. The third is that, yes, you know that over the period, there are people who have an opportunity to import vehicles. I mean, we've put a 50% cut on that as well. So that at least, I mean, there are a lot of assembling plans that, due to our government, we've been able to bring into the country. People should channel those resources there. There's a way that we want to be able to consolidate our resources and our funds within the country. We have also stated that, yes, foreign travels that is needed by government officials and government workers, we have put an end to it. Unless, of course, it's pre-approved and then it's critical and it's statutory. Because, I mean, there are a number of meetings that will be held along the year, UN meetings and that, I mean, statutory meetings that we cannot do anything about. Yes, we would want people to go. Now, there's a continual threat of ghost names in our public sector. I mean, we want to be very strong on that to see how we can eradicate that, because our monies are going to people that do not necessarily exist. I will be ending soon.
Very quickly for me.
Yes, we you know that every time there are policies that goes to Parliament and bills that are passed, usually you would need to set up a public institution. We have stated that by the end of 2022, we're not going to set up any new public institution. I mean, we have reduced expenditure on all meetings and conferences per diems by 50%. Also, like I stated, I mean, state-owned enterprises, ministers of state, government workers, there's been a cut of their salary by 20%. Cabinet 20%, executive 30%. All of these are really clear indicators for us as a government to do burden sharing. And I stated earlier on this morning that I think that in the right scheme of things, I would want to extend a right hand of fellowship in that same spirit to the minority, that if there are ways they can also start cutting their salaries. It would let the Ghanaian people appreciate their real support for our united spirited as we need going forward.
Okay. I'm impressed with the measures rolled out by the minister yesterday. Of course, we've seen from where I sit as the financial journalist attempt to austere to cut wastage in the system. And this is one thing the minority has been asking for government to reduce some of these things to ease the pressure on the public purse.
First of all, let me customarily say good morning to my people in South Dayi. Peki, Kpali, Kpeve, Tongo. I do that all the time. Yeah. And they're feeling the pinch of the economy. I had earlier said somewhere on some other network that the finance minister is highly publicized press briefing on the measures government has taken to, as it were, ameliorate our economic situations. It will be a mere talk shop, and it's come to pass. The government hasn't told us that the president will stop flying in a private jet. They haven't said that. They haven't said so. I was hoping that they would say that our presidential jet that is sitting on the tarmac will be put to the use for which we acquired it. That is why. Now, the finance minister actually came to brief the press and lambasted the minority.
How?
And I refer you to paragraph 8 of his statement. He actually took us to cleaners for doing our duty. Let me read. Paragraph 8 says, however, 3 things that we did not and could not predict hit us. That Parliament will approve government's 2022 budget statement and its expenditure plans and then turn around to vote against one of the key revenue generation measures that was being introduced, that's the e-levy. 2, that the unyielding stance of the minority in Parliament against the e-levy will gravely affect investor confidence in our capacity to implement our programs and settle our debts, triggering a downgrading by credit rating agencies, and now leaving the city vulnerable as we could not access the international capital markets. How does the finance minister blame the minority for his problems? Hold on. The day the finance minister read the budget, on the 17th of November, 2021, that day, our economy began to have problems because the investors listened to him and didn't have confidence in what he presented. Now, the e-levy was never voted on in Parliament. Never. In fact, they brought the bill on the 15th of December. And as soon as it was laid, it was referred to the Finance Committee. And then he came before the Finance Committee to say that it ought to have been taken under a certificate of urgency. That decision went through a split decision. The report was brought to the floor. As we speak, government has not been able to lay that report and debate it.
They are consulting.
Consulting who? Is that how you do things?
Stakeholders.
No, you come to Parliament and urge Parliament that a certain bill be taken under a certificate of urgency and pursuant to our standing audits, or under statutory stipulations, even in the Constitution, were waived. So the bill could be taken at least within 24 hours. As we speak, since 15th of December, they've not had the courage to move the motion for us to adopt the report and proceed to consider the e-levy. You will call that. Hold on.
Before you go on. If you look at the agitation and the position that the minority has taken, you expected them to move without making sure maybe they corner you somewhere to get you to.
Why? Is it not the same government that has been shouting that they are majority in Parliament? Why do you need the minority to pass an e-levy bill that you think you have a majority?
They have issues with numbers.
Why? Should that be my problem?
Of course, it don't make political sense if they know they don't have the numbers to move a motion.
So the government should do introspection than turning its gun on the minority. That's the point I'm making. If you can't put your house in order, don't blame the minority. That's the point I'm making. You bring a bill, you don't have the courage to lay the report for us to debate it and adopt and proceed to consider a bill. Then you go to the public and say that it is the minority that is stampeding you from considering the bill. How is that a problem? And you recall that they blame the speaker. They spent the whole of January blaming the speaker. If you recall, that it was the speaker's travels. That was the reason why the e-levy could not be taken. Then when they left the speaker, they gave some reprieve and reprieve to the speaker. Then they attacked their own member, Adjo Asafo, the Honorable Adjo Asafo. But the truth of the matter is that leaders of government business have not submitted that report for us to debate. The report is still in abeyance. Nearly 3 months after we've taken that bill and the certificate of agency at the committee level. So it is the government that is sleeping on the job. The indolence in this matter is on the government, not on the minority. We have always been a vigilant minority. We cannot be faulted for being vigilant, for doing our duty. This government says that they have spent 31 billion in interest payments for 2021 alone. 2021. Now, ask me, between 2017 and 2021, how much borrowing this government has done? How much borrowing? So when you overborrow, and we are not seeing the fruits of the borrowing, and yet because of the nature of the tenor of the loans, we are called upon to service the loan, both domestically and externally. And our interest payments alone are swallowing half of our revenue. Then the manager of the economy ought to be questioned. The manager of the economy ought to be questioned. Let me give you one example. We took a loan of 256 million euros, all right, to construct what we called the Ashama Akosombo highway or arterial road. 256 million euros. The president went onto the road sometime in October 2020. I think he was campaigning around the Kpung area, and cut short for the construction of that road to commence in that October 2020, and added that the tenure of that project will be 36 months. This is March 2022. How long has that been? That's 18 months. Because October to December, 3 months. 12 months, the whole of 2021. That's 15 months. 15 plus 3. That is 18 months. So between when the president cut short and the calendar that he gave, that that road project, that 69 kilometers road, modal road, that's dual carriage, multiple lane road through Afenya to Kpong to the Adome Bridge will be delivered. We are halfway through. Government has just come to Parliament with a tax waiver on the things to be procured for that project. So when government was not ready in October in 2020, why was the president cutting short? Why was the president cutting short in October 2020 as part of his campaign tour of the area, assuring the people that your road will be, the road project will be commenced?
I get the point that you're making, but
yes.
Back to the subject. That
it's all part of the subject. I'm talking of borrowing. You see, when you borrow for a purpose and you don't apply the monies to the purpose for which you borrow, the money is sitting down. The tenor on the loan is running. You will be called upon to service the loan, even though you are not applying the loan for the purpose for which you took it. It is that kind of arrangement we have. We have similar situations on the Kpong to Miocho road. We have taken the money, time is running on the money, the road is not being delivered. Efia Kwanta Hospital in Sekendi, similar situation. Time is running, we are not delivering on the hospital project, but we are being called upon to service the loan. So the government is running itself into problems and blaming the minority. Now, let's look at these figures. A government says that they are going to cut, they are going to reduce, and when you see the figure, when they are talking about inflation and they mention 15%, I wonder where they are getting their figures from. Fertilizer, do you know how much fertilizer is? Do you?
Are you contesting the figure?
I'm contesting the rate they are quoting. Fertilizer just last year was purchased, even the government subsidy fertilizer was 80 cedis.
But inflation is an average
hold on, I'm giving you one item that is so fundamental to farming in this country. Just one item. Even government subsidized fertilizer was 80 cedis last year. Then it was even difficult. You heard of the famous story that donkeys were smuggling the fertilizer across the border. Today, fertilizer is 340 Ghana. Even that one, you won't get it. And then you tell me that year-on-year rate of inflation is 15%. When the price of fertilizer has jumped from 80 cedis.
If you look at the computation, it's a basket of items. And the average
that is where the mischief lies. When they use that phrase basket, that is where the mischief lies.
It's the standard practice across
It is the standard practice, but somebody is suppressing the figures. If you go to market now, you will see that prices of things a year ago have tripled. I tell you no lie. If you like, let viewers call in from different places and give you an indication. Prices of things a year ago have tripled. So when they quote 15% inflation, it's a big worry for me, because I see it as a suppression of the reality on the ground. Now, a government says that they are cutting down 20% of expenditures. Then they outlined a lot of areas where they are going to do such a cut. Then the same government says, let me give you the line. Then the same government says in paragraph 21 of the statement yesterday that whilst we are in the process of revising the 2022 fiscal framework to reflect current developments with a view to go to Parliament to seek approval for the revisions during the mid-year review in July, government will pursue additional measures to ensure the achievement of the fiscal deficit of 7.4%.
That's the target for this year.
You are not listening to me. A government read its budget in November 2021 and declared a budget deficit of 7.4%. That was when a revenue projection of 100 billion revenue projection vis-a-vis an expenditure projection of 146 billion pursuant to the appropriation that we passed. Now you are in crisis, so you have come back to the people to say that with all the crisis that I'm going through, I'm going to review my budget by a whooping 37 billion in expenditure cuts. 37 billion. If you do the calculation, it comes to about 37 billion. 29 billion, 10%. That's 20% of the projected expenditure. Then 10% of capital expenditure. And all that, when you put the figures together, it comes to about 37 billion. How do you revise your expenditure downwards to about 37 billion out of an earlier 146 billion and still have a budget deficit of 7.4?
Quite simple.
No, it is not simple.
Quite simple, because, for example, if at the start of the year, your amortization and interest payments were pegged, let's say, $1 billion US.
Yes.
With the rising inflation, certainly, and your CD depreciating, you have to pay more for the same percentage. So it means you need more money.
So you agree? You agree with me that they are concealing figures?
No, I don't agree with you.
You should agree with me.
You haven't given me any evidence.
The budget deficit is only a relationship between your revenue and your expenditure. It's as simple as that. In fact, they have even said that they will introduce new measures to be able to improve on the revenue projection. So how do you improve on your revenue projection and still insist that you have a budget deficit of 7.4? I'm a lawyer. I'm a small boy lawyer. But I'm struggling to appreciate that mathematics.
And that's what I'm saying.
Because I passed my modern mathematics.
That's why I'm saying that I can budget for this water.
Yes.
1 cedi.
Yes.
Based on my estimation.
Yes.
Then somewhere around the year,
yes,
the cedi has depreciated. So the same.
Did you tell us the loss of the loss that we have suffered?
We know the how.
No, I don't know. Tell me. Tell me. Let me give you an instance. In January this year,
the cedi has lost more than 20% since the start of the year against the US dollar.
20%. I'm happy you are saying that. Let me give you some figure. In January this year, if you want $20,000, you will need 120,000 Ghana. In February, if you want $20,000, you will need 140,000 Ghana. In March, if you need $20,000, you need 170,000 Ghana at the rate of 8.5. Do you know the real value of the money? It is the loss of 50,000. If you don't add 50,000 to the amount you bought the dollar in January, you won't get the same amount. So that is the real value of the money we've lost. That amount, look for an additional 50,000 between January and now to be able to get the same amount of dollar I got in January.
That's a huge problem.
Yes, which is a huge problem. So I was hoping that the finance minister would have told us that between the time when he read the budget and the time that so this is like a mid-year before a mid-year. What he did yesterday.
But the minority has been calling that the finance minister.
We haven't called
quiet,
it. No,
too quiet.
We have filed questions
in the midst of the challenge.
We have filed questions in Parliament. I have. In fact, he announced the budget cut, expenditure cut, sometime early February. So I filed a question directed at him to come and brief Parliament in respect of the indices that will constitute that 20% expenditure cut. He hasn't come. Yesterday, my leader raised the matter on the floor. That some of the questions have been pending since the past 9 months. He hasn't come to answer them. Then you come and tell us that because we are in crisis, as a government, you are really under the economic issues. You are doing a mid-year review before a mid-year review. So this is like a quarterly review.
Has any of the targets revised?
The man has come to revise the targets.
I'm yet to
but I thought you just agreed that he has revised his expenditure lines to about 20%.
Yes, yes.
You agree. But I'm struggling to appreciate that when you reduce your expenditure and you have not reduced your revenue targets, you should still be talking about a budget deficit as you indicated at the time you presented your budget.
You've spoken for a while. I'll bring you back in. Palgrave, you've heard the argument of the NDC. He started with the city. Let's start on that. So we've seen before the announcement of the 2 billion injection that government is planning to raise on the international markets.
Let me say this before Palgrave comes in. The budget deficit for 2018 was 7.7%. 2019 was 7.5. 2020 was 15.7. 2021 was 12%. 2022, he says it's 7.4.
The minister, the 12%. The minister wants to exclude the cost of the financial sector.
You haven't even allowed me to touch it. If I can do that briefly.
I'll come back to you on that. Let me bring him. So the city has lost nearly 20% or more of its value since the start of the year. And really, this is one element or aspect of the conversation regarding our economy that's the MPP, while in opposition, talked about significantly, and the fact that they will address the fundamentals to ensure that it doesn't depreciate to this level. Of course, the global picture is also considered, but that's quite high for managers of an economy like yours, considering all that you've said.
Thank you. I would come back to the question, but I just want to share a few things on some of the things that Honorable stated. So Honorable stated at the beginning that he was expecting that there will be a conversation around flying a private jet. You know that the president went to Dubai and he went with a commercial flight.
Yes. The man has traveled 12 times since January. And if he's going on a Dubai
isn't that a good step?
No, that is a good step.
It is not.
Maybe it has just started.
It is not.
A good step.
He was in Abuja. He was in Abuja, I think, yesterday. Do you know the flight that he used? Go and check. How many people did you send to Dubai? Hundreds of people.
Honorable, the president flew a commercial flight. I think that's important.
It is not.
You must commend that.
Out of 12 flights.
You must commend that.
No.
Honorable, you must commend that.
In fact, it is cosmetic.
No, I think that you must commend that for the good people of the country. So yes, I mean, I see that the global issues really has worn a tone on every leader globally. And much as it does, which is why you need a government that would be strong and bold enough to put in measures. Now, you know that if these situations, as it is, and the factors that has caused us to be where we are in terms of COVID-19, which cannot be underestimated, because, I mean, countries are recovering from COVID-19, and so as we are preparing to build back the economies better, then we have these war. Now, other people would have resorted to going to an IMF bailout. But as a government that is continually thinking economic liberation, as a government...
Is that an admission that in our state currently, going to an IMF will not be bad, but you as a government have decided not to go?
In our state currently, I mean, how would it be that you would finish an IMF program, stabilize the economy in the manner in which you would want to, and then be able to go back to? I think that it's very clear on government's agenda that we want to have innovative policies in country, homegrown innovative policies in country that would help us be able to address our own needs, because the grass is not greener at the other side. And I think that these measures that have been put in place is a clear indication of government's bold measures, and everybody should accept the burden sharing responsibility where we are now. So as it relates to our city, like I stated, yes, I mean, the city has depreciated. All the things that Honorable stated in terms of the percentages and how much money you need to, I mean, it impacts everyone. But going forward, we want to be able to see how we can have a stopgap measure, which is why these measures have been put in place. But as we look at the measures that have been put in place, we must also remember the revenue aspect, because the real goal of financing an economy comes from the revenue. I mean, the money is not going to come from anywhere. It's going to come from amongst us. And so there are conversations around which the minister stated yesterday.
Yes, of course. Yesterday, the minister outlined
yes,
a number of measures.
I want to go into
even before you go into the details of that, of course, we'll be touching on that. On the issue of the local currency, since 2017, the government have been talking about industrializing the economy. And really, if we industrialize and cut our dependence on imports, that is when we can give some breathing space to the local currency as far as the manner in which it chases the dollar and that stuff. And we've seen a lot of policies. The one district, one factory, planting for food and jobs, rearing for exports, among others. And still we are still battling the issue of cedi depreciation. I wonder if these policies have made any impact since you came into office.
Absolutely. I mean, the policies...
Because if it has made any impact, it should be saving the city.
The policies have made impact. I mean, the impact is wide and broad. I mean, we had stated that we were going to do 150 one district, one factory. We've done 59 of those. And the policy for the one district, one factory is really to augment already existing factories that other people have, because that's the policy. It's a suggestive
I've been hearing 107 from some members of the government, and I'm hearing
59 completed. The other outstanding are just near completion.
Okay.
You understand? Yes. So if you look at that, Honorable is very excited about government's one district, one factory.
I'm not excited.
Because you see,
I'm amazed about the figures you are churning out.
Yes, and
what is actually happening.
No, it's true. The results are on the ground.
It's never been the case that the policy was for existing factories.
It is, the policy is a partnership. It's always a partnership between the private sector and government.
That is why, for instance, you can say in Boakye that Water Forest.
Yes, Water Forest.
A company that I have been its lawyer for nearly 8 years before you came into office. Then you can say that Water Forest This is your one district, one factory in Hohoe, employing 4,000 persons. Really? If we interrogate the figures, you will be exposed.
No, but Honorable, you see,
Water Forest may be doing
is wood
well.
processing.
Yes, it's
Good.
my company. I've worked for them for, I'm the external solicitor.
Good.
But we don't have 4,000 workers on our books.
Maybe direct and indirect jobs.
Direct and indirect jobs.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
No, but these are figures that is on the ground to show.
No, and I'm saying, well, look, even Kasapreku that I have known since as a child, they are citing Kasapreku as their one district, one factory.
It's an investment
And
the government has made.
And I'm shocked that Martin is not speaking. The founder of Kasapreku hasn't spoken. But we'll leave it there. You finish and let me rebut a few things.
But you see, it's important primarily because you see a number of
giving
these
stimulus package to existing companies has always been every government's focus.
It's a focus on industrialization.
Yes,
we
we've
cannot
done
rule
it.
that
You came to inherit it. So don't create the impression as if it's a new thing you are doing. What you told the people you would do is that you will build new factories right from the ground.
We have built new factories.
You see,
in addition to already
for instance, in South
factories.
I expected a new factory in Peki Agbate to improve the agroeconomy, because Agbate is arguably a breadbasket. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened.
What have you done in your capacity to ensure that it happens?
They will tell you that bring a proposal. When you encourage people to send a proposal, it never gets approval. I've gotten people from my constituency, Southline, Peki, Peve, and Gemini, to send proposal to the secretariat. They've done follow-ups. Eventually, it fizzled out. So there are issues, but the way you glorify it. May I proceed to rebut a few things he had said?
No, if he's giving you the floor, I don't have a problem.
But he's had his time.
You've had a lot of time.
No, he's not done.
He's had his time.
Not done.
Now let me do this. The financial sector cleanup, the figures they are churning out, it's also a big headache for me. In 2020, the minister came to Parliament that they were done, that they have spent about 20 billion Ghana cedis in cleaning up and a sector that they claimed needed a stimulus of about 9 billion, or had issues and investment. The total investment that was being endangered was about 9 billion. Who spends 25 billion to clean up or to secure a 9 billion investment? Who does that? I mean, tell me anywhere in this world that a financial investment that you yourself have estimated to be about 9 billion, that you spend the public money, double of that, you will not be satisfied. So you triple it. You spend 25 billion to secure a 9 billion investment. It's unacceptable. And in the process, you've sent about 10,000 people home. And yet you still are not able to pay customers. That is even the killer.
Which of the customers are remaining?
Some of these banks. People will call in, you will hear. Government is
because
still,
I have followed up on
government still
with the receiver for those that
haven't paid
their claims
people.
have been confirmed
they
and the matters
haven't paid
have been settled out.
They haven't paid thousands of people. You have heard Men's Go people.
You expect the state to pay for Men's Go?
Why isn't Men's Go part of the financial sector cleanup? So why did Men's Go stop operation? Did they stop Men's Go? Was it not part of the cleanup?
Wasn't the company operating illegally?
But the other companies that they clean up,
it had no license to do deposit taking activity.
Hold on, the 400 and I think they brought the figure to Parliament, but it's about the 450
savings and loans and
the savings and loans and microfinance companies that they struck down. Some of the reasons they gave was that some were operating without license. So it's all part of the cleanup. So when you talk about the cleanup, you can't leave out Men's Gold.
It's not certainly.
No, you cannot leave out men's gold and say
that's factually incorrect.
So how did you clean up men's gold?
Factually incorrect. Because
no, how did you clean up men's gold?
Engaged in a business that it had no license.
Men's gold was not consolidated.
Yes. It was the Securities and Exchange Commission that issued a directive that men's gold had no license to engage in any sort of deposit taking or capital markets activity. And of course,
go and read the Securities and Exchange Act and see that whether they didn't have power to regulate men's gold.
They were not registered.
As what?
As a player in the capital markets. It is the SEC that grants licenses. It hasn't granted license to
Thank you. When you register a company with Registrar General, there are purposes for which you set up. Now, when a company is engaged in a business that they don't have license to engage in, you shut them down, don't you? You shut them down, don't you? So who shut men's gold down? Who exercised the power to shut down men's gold?
If you are a regulator and there is more or less...
you are defending
yes,
it. And
I'm not
saying,
defending.
No, you are suggesting.
Yes.
And I'm saying that who had the power to shut down men's gold?
The regulator of the industry. If you are the regulator of the industry and there is an entity operating within your space...
Who had the power to shut down those microfinance companies? Who
the
did
Bank
have?
of Ghana.
Thank you. So, when we speak of the financial sector cleanup, it is not only what the Bank of Ghana did. It involves what the SEC also did.
Yeah. That's true.
Because you are spending public money, that is why you call it a cleanup. You don't clean some aspect and leave some aspect. So that can be a conversation for another day. So I am asking exactly what did we do to spend 25 billion? Consultants? What did we do?
The numbers are showing that the banking sector is resilient now.
No,
following the
no. The performance of the banks is not better than the banks that were shut down. Check the figures.
That's factually incorrect if you check the figures.
I have checked the figures, and I'm telling you the performance of the banks. 2 weeks ago, if you needed money in this country, if you needed just 20,000, it took like 2 days to get it from the banks. Just 2 weeks ago.
No, but that's inaccurate.
That is accurate.
Which bank is that?
Because I suffered it.
Which bank is that?
You want me to mention?
Please,
I can mention.
Please do.
No, we are not mentioning.
2 weeks ago,
no, but
if you needed money,
you said 20,000.
20,000.
2 weeks ago.
2 days.
No.
They'll tell you that they are waiting for money from the Bank of Ghana.
No, Honorable, no.
I say, look.
No, we will not.
Customers will call in. So the crisis, but it's not different.
We are yet to hear of any liquidity challenge within the bank.
There were liquidity challenges. If it's not improved, better. But I went to the bank to take money. I was asked to go and come, to go and come, to go and come.
In your capacity as Member of Parliament?
Yes. Eventually, I got the money the next day. Because Bank of Ghana hadn't arrived. They've gone to Bank of Ghana, they haven't arrived. On a Monday morning.
I find it very difficult.
Yes, on a Monday morning. On a Monday morning.
I find it very difficult to do.
When we close, I'll give you the name of the bank.
Please,
yes. They are just here. So it is not funny for me to say that we spent 25 billion when in 2020 you said we have spent 20 billion. So between 2020 and now, what other cleanup did we do? Even bitumen, when you are cleaning up bitumen, you buy detergent. What did we buy? Who did we pay? What sort of cleanup was it? We want to know the incidence of the cost. When you give us the figure, give us the breakdown.
That will be a conversation. I mean, you are in Parliament. You should be able to.
We've been asking him.
Someone the Bank of Ghana
even
to come
COVID. Look, this government, they blame COVID for everything. Now they are hiding Russia. When you ask them for COVID expenditure breakdown, then they run away. We filed a motion to have Parliament constitute a bipartisan committee to look at the entire gamut of the COVID-19 expenditure. They shut it down. They said we should go to the Auditor General. Why? Meanwhile, you are in Parliament, you are asking us to approve a new tax regime for you. Yet you don't want to account for the COVID expenditures that you have incurred, including COVID recovery levy. Do you know there's a 1% COVID recovery levy that they've been levying since 2020? What have they done with that money? Not even a single hospital has been built out of the COVID.
The Agenda 111 has started.
Where?
I mean, we've seen some of the
at where? You've seen it where?
I mean, it's been in the news.
No. Tell me. They announced in 2020 that they will build it in 18 months. We've done 18 months. In fact, that announcement came sometime April 2020 that it will be built in 18 months. That time it was 88 hospitals. Then they themselves increased it to 111. Have you ever heard of them mention Agenda 111 again? The last time they came, they said they are now looking for lands, they are perfecting land titles and all that. So it is not funny, my brother.
Palgrave, let me bring in the issue of fuel. We had the Deputy Minister for Energy, Ejapa Mensah, who indicated that government was going to review the three taxes in the price build-up, but we've not seen much, as he said on private FM Joy News in an interview there, where he mentioned the price stabilization levy and among others that will be taken. In essence, what he said was going to grant more than 50 pesos in relief to consumers, but that hasn't happened. We are seeing 15 peso reduction, which consumers are saying will not make any impact. But we will come back for you to more or less give us your thoughts on that. Let's go for this break. We return shortly. Stay with us.
Good morning, and we serve you breakfast.
Not just any breakfast.
Sizzling healthy.
And there's much more on offer on GTV breakfast.
So what's your pleasure than Votrasia at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast,
On-site restaurant,
or room service?
we've got you covered.
From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m.
With a trusted team.
So never skip breakfast.
On GTV breakfast.
Hello viewers, this is a new season on Time with a Banker and Financial Advisor. This new season will throw light on market conduct of financial institutions in general and also the rise of the consumer. Watch Time with a Banker and Financial Advisor this and every Tuesday evening at 8:30 p.m. prompt with your host and presenter and banker, Betty Dayi.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ted Spear, pastor of the Fundamental Baptist Church International in Kumasi, Ghana. I'd like to welcome you to join us here on GTV every Saturday morning from 6:30 to 7 a.m. Please join us as we discuss the scriptures each and every Saturday morning. God bless you.
And nations tremble at his voice. All creation
people.
Thank you so much for staying with us. It's still Weekly Press Review, your number one wrap-up analysis program, live on GBC News and on GTV. We're also streaming live on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. We're discussing the major events of the week, and that has been the economy. We've seen the finance minister announcing some measures, austerity measures, to take us out of the wounds as a country. The start of the week, we had the Bank of Ghana also hiking the policy rate by 2.5%, also to help tame inflation. We are learning that government is planning to raise $2 billion through a syndicated arrangement with some 3 major international banks to augment revenue shortfall and help stabilize the city. Of course, since the assumption of office by the MPP government, we've seen Eurobond at the start of every financial year. In 2022, due to our debt situation, the coupon rates were very high. We couldn't access that, and that has also led to the challenges that we are facing. The finance minister has indicated that yesterday, but also pledged to ensure that we address the challenges facing the economy. Palgrave, let me bring you in. I was asking a question about the fuel. We expected more reduction, considering what Ejapa Mesa, the Deputy Minister for Energy, said, but that didn't happen. And we've engaged a lot of players across the transport value chain who are saying this 15% really will not make much impact.
I think it's the beginning, and that's how I like us to look at it. That's yes, it's a beginning of mitigating the challenge that we face in the country, and this begins in April. I'm very sure that once we have been able to put all the measures in place and the money we want to inject into the economy, the $2 billion we want to inject into the economy, there'll be more reviews as it comes along with this. So that's where we should leave it. We should leave it that, yes, I mean, 15% is a good start. And then we'll move on from there.
Why can't we review further downwards some of the levies that, for example, have outlived their purposes? We have the toll levy. I don't know the relevance it's playing in there if you look at the basis for which it was introduced several years ago.
No, so I mean, the number of levies, yes, rightly so. I'm certain that, yes, once we have a conversation around the holistic review of a lot of our petroleum levies, those that we feel that, yes, have outlived its relevance, I'm sure we'll be able to make a decision on that. But really, you know that toll has a role to play in the grand scheme of crude. Look at the amount of money we take out of this country. If we're able to refine our own, I mean, I think that would also help us largely. So if we take those levies and we feel that at a stage it would help rebuild toll to a global stage, why not? We'll be able to do that.
And do you think your government has shown commitment in taking toll to the level that you are talking about? Because we've been in office since 2017. We've seen several managing directors of toll and nothing to show. It's only cost that has been incurred to the state in terms of the remuneration, because they haven't really done anything. No, toll now is operating on toll basis, refining people's products, and even that one, it is incurring losses and issues with payment of allowances to staff and those stuff. And I mean, some people have even raised why should we even pay allowances for an agency that is not making any profits, rather incurring debts in the books of the states?
No, I think that toll has had a journey, and it's not just from our government. I mean, it's had a journey right from the beginning, and so those mitigating challenges that toll has faced is what has brought us to where we are. And I think that as a country and as a government, we are very confident that we'll be able to resolve these issues within the shortest possible time.
Are we impressed with the 15% reduction? Amidst the challenges, the difficulty in revenue, government has given 15% to consumers.
I tweeted yesterday night and asked, what in this country can anybody purchase with 15%? And come and hear the comments. 15% of what? I was hoping doctor would tell me.
I can give the breakdown. So bust margin.
No. It's not. It's not the breakdown, but the 15 pesos is of what? Of a liter. How much is a liter?
9.5.
Thank you.
Averagely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So in effect, what you are saying is that out of 9.5, we should go back and buy fuel at 9.35. That's what you are saying. So this tells you how insignificant the drop is, or the rebate is. Because if you just say 15 pesos, it has to be placed in a context. So if you listen to people in the streets yesterday and today, before I came here, in the morning news, a lot of your colleagues, other media houses have sent men and women out there to go interview people. And even the ordinary man in the street, they're able to compute and realize that the 15 pesos, some even say, is it 15% of the price, or 15 pesos? So the journalists who were struggling, but eventually they realized there was 15 pesos. So 15 pesos of 9.5 cedis. It's so infinitesimal, so negligible.
Isn't that a good step?
No, it is not. It is not. But the government is throwing it as if it's so significant. It should make an impact. Particularly when you look at the rate of increment between January and now. It's like 13 times. And it was more terrible in February. In February, it shot from 6 to between 8 in February. It entered 9 in March.
But we also have to take into consideration the global factors. Of course, such as the Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We've seen fuel in UK, in Europe, also going up.
Now, not COVID, but Russia. Okay.
It's partly.
Okay, but you see, that is why, as a country that produces oil on net basis, we benchmark our crude against $60. Now we are buying crude around 110 and 120. So I can also say that then we have a windfall. What's happening to the windfall? It's supposed to cushion the people. So I was hoping government would have spoken to that effect. That even though we benchmark our crude against $60, now that price has doubled. So it's brought us so much money. And my senior brother in Kumasi, Alex Mood, did the calculation and said there's a windfall of about $500 million.
For this year. Yesterday, the minister debunked that when he said if you look at the volume of the product that we import against what we export,
yes,
and you look at you do the mathematics and do the difference, you realize that the net fall isn't anything, and that's according to the minister.
But did they give a figure? If somebody puts a figure and you are disputing it, state your figure.
Okay, so he said, paragraph 25 of the statement yesterday, he said, let me start here. He said in 2022 we imported, said though the rise in crude oil prices should have been to our benefit on net basis, Ghana's import of petroleum products amounts to 5.2 times the value of the proceed from its crude oil export rather. In 2022 we exported 3,947 3.9 million. Yes, that's $3.9 billion worth of the products. That's if you are checking paragraph 25, right?
Yes,
not 26.
No,
and yes, and he's saying of which Ghana's portion was $530 million. So out of the 3.9 billion worth of product that we exported, ours was 530.
3.9 million.
Million?
Yes.
Yes.
Million rather. No, it's billion.
No, it's 3,000.
It's
3,947.70 million.
Yes, million.
Million rather.
Yes.
Okay. So 513 was Ghana's portion. How about we?
In other words, 3.9 billion.
Yes.
It makes it easier.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So in terms of the magnitude, for the sake of our viewers, that's 3.9 billion.
Yes.
So Ghana's portion was $513 million. However, we imported 2.7 billion worth of crude oil and finished products. The purported windfall gain in foreign exchange is a mirage. From January to date, the average export price of diesel and petrol have increased by 57% and 45% respectively. So he's telling you that in as much as we are making the gains, the exchange depreciation also is eroding the gains that ordinarily we would have made.
It ought not to be a mirage. So they should tell us why the cedi is depreciating. You are managing it. I'm not managing. The windfall has come. But because of perhaps your incompetence, the cedi, the erosion of the cedi value has eaten it up. You should be explaining. You have been given the executive powers of state to do that.
Palgrave, before the coming of MPP into office, we know it's an annual problem that in the first quarter of every year, multinationals will repatriate their profits to their mother companies, and that is why this government promised to industrialize the economy and ensure that there is high local participation in the manufacturing sector and the services sector as well, so that at the end of the year and the start of every year, we don't find this issue of profit repatriation affecting our city, and that hasn't happened. In fact, what we are seeing this year is quite unprecedented. In the last 7 years, we've not seen the cedi depreciating to this tune.
Yes, so yes, you're right, and I think that that's been the goal of government, to be able to ensure that the Ghanaian people become players within the industry. And so moving forward, yes, as government has stated, we're encouraging the Ghanaian people to continue to become players. And you realize as well that during the Bank of Ghana governor review and statement, he mentioned that, I mean, people that are within the country who have foreign reserves and foreign exchange, especially the expatriates, should, there's a policy that is being put in place, so at least they have an appreciable time of either repatriating their monies or not. So all of these things are things that government is working on largely to make sure that, yes, we meet the needs of the Ghanaian people.
Okay, Palgrave hasn't given me much of details as to how government is dealing with this issue, but Honorable, let me bring you back in on that. This was a similar problem we were having when the NDC was in office. The first quarter of every year. In fact, they are claiming that the cedi has depreciated more in terms of percentage when you were in office compared to now. How is
that possible? When you ask them, they are unable to tell you. You inherit a cedi. In fact, by the election on December 7th, 2016, the cedi was trading at 3.8 to the dollar. Because of the changeover, there was instability. So it moved from between 3.8 by December 8th to 4.1 or 2 by the morning of the handing over. So we inherited the cedi at 4.2. Let's peg it at 4.2. And for the first quarter, I think it stabilized. Then it began to climb. Now the cedi is 8.5 to the dollar. You need, so
that's black market.
No, it's not black market.
The central bank is quoting at 7.4. The banks are quoting 7.9.
You see, this is the problem. But I'll leave it there. So,
no, but we can't use the black market to benchmark.
I am not using the black market. I can give you pictures I took 2 weeks ago when I entered the banking hall. Displayed in the banking hall. I can show you those. I don't know what happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, things were really crazy. There was something happened in this country. I don't know. But things were simply not stable. Now, if you needed 4 cedis, 20 pesos to get $1 in January 2017, today you need, I'll be considerate. You need 8 cedis. So between 2017 and now, you needed 3.8 cedis, 80 pesos. You have to find it from somewhere to add to what you would have used that for in 2017 before you can get $1. That's erosion of capital. So once you are unable to maintain the value of your city, it affects everything, no matter what you do. No matter what you do. So we were blaming COVID. But this government got more money in COVID. More money. In fact, they introduced more taxes. To the extent that we had a COVID-19 tax. Purposely for that. So when they still claim that we don't have resources because of COVID, I asked myself, but you came to ask for that tax. You persuaded us. In fact, they spoke eloquently. So we passed the levy. We passed the act that go and levy everybody and 1%, and you termed it a COVID recovery levy. The utilization of that should be offsetting some of these things under the NDC. That is why we set up the stabilization fund, so that when we set aside these monies and we have price disparities like this, it will go to stabilize. That is why the name of the fund is called Stabilization Fund. It is not for nothing that that name was given to it. You've drained all that account. Now you are in crisis, there is nothing for you to follow. And you claim that you drain it and spent it on COVID expenditure. Now come and account for the COVID expenditure till you are running away. So what do you want us to do for you?
It's really refreshing hearing that the Council of State have gone down in the allowance by 20%. We are also seeing cut in allocation, budgetary allocation of state agencies. In the first quarter, it has happened. It has been extended to the rest of the year. Government appointees are also going down by 30%. And yesterday, the Information Minister, Kojo Ponkuma, said really it would be nice on the part of the legislature to also consider reducing their salary in the midst of the difficulty that they have also admitted that we are in crisis.
Now, let the record reflect that government is not giving me a salary. They are giving me what they call an allowance. Because my salary is yet to be determined. My salary as a member of the 8th Parliament is yet to be determined by the same government. So how do you ask me to agree to a 20% cut to something I don't know? So that problem lies with government. If they determine my salary levels, then we can have that discussion. But now they are giving me allowance. They are giving me what they call on account. That is actually the salary of the 7 Parliament members. So that is that. 2.
So on that one you can't go down?
No, look, an average MP doesn't go home with his salary. It's not taken as home. 2, the government ought to tell us that this 30% salary cuts of public appointees, how much does it translate to? I want to see that figure.
But they say cumulatively they are saving 3.5 billion from the salary cuts. Yesterday the finance minister said that's
3.7 billion.
3.5 billion Ghana cedis.
3.5 billion.
That's
okay.
Nearly half of what the e-levy will generate for us.
Hold on. So starting from when? April?
Yes.
Okay. Now this 3.5 billion. How many staff? Who constitute this bracket? Who?
Political appointees.
Okay. Such as?
Heads of SOEs.
Okay.
And almost all political.
Now, are you aware government is now appointing deputies on the average, 2 deputies to CEOs across? Are you aware?
Some even have 3.
Thank you. So when you pretend that you are cutting down salary and yet you are recruiting more, that is not an austere measure. That for me, I don't want to use the word, but that is not being candid with the people. I was hoping that government in its budget said that they will recruit 500 presidential staffers 2022. I was hoping that they would say that they won't go ahead. 2022, don't do it. Yesterday, I was hoping he would say that. But when you go ahead and recruit the 500 and simply give them a 30% pay cut, you haven't solved the problem. So I am struggling to appreciate the candor of government in this rebate. And let me top it up by saying, you know, in 2018, the government said that they were not going to travel by official vehicles and that they will do official runs with buses. You remember? Government said that they won't buy official vehicles. You remember? You recall? Let me Google them for you. Government said there is a moratorium on the purchase of official vehicles. When did they lift that? There was a moratorium on travel. In 2020, President came to announce the official travels.
But that was as a result of COVID-19.
When did they lift it? What has he told you that he's lifted ban on official travel? So when the same government comes back to say that now they are imposing a ban on official travel, when there's already an existing ban on official travel, I have a problem.
Have you inquired to see whether it has been lifted?
That inquiry shouldn't come from me. That inquiry,
maybe
no, government should be telling me.
Memo was related to agencies.
Yes, exactly. And I have several copies of them. So the government should be saying that the last time we imposed a moratorium on travel was between 2019 and 2021. It was lifted for 6 months, but given the crisis, we are going back to that era. So when they keep making some of these declarations, but in the real sense, they don't abide by it. In the real sense, they don't abide by it. They travel. They buy official vehicles. They use official cars. Google, if you Google, you will see that government said don't go by official vehicles. That ministers will travel by bus, and they were found in a bus, and it became newsy. All ministers were in a bus to a function. It became the headline. When did they lift that ban? So I have a problem with some of these play to the gallery measures.
He said all the measures.
They just went to Dubai Expo. Ask them how many people government sponsored. Ask them. I have the figure.
Share with us.
No, I have the figure.
No, if you have the figure, share with us.
They should tell us how many people went to Dubai Expo on the government purse just 2 weeks ago. They should tell us. And what we got from Dubai Expo.
Maybe deals were locked.
Such as?
Because I've seen the GIPC.
Look, 2 weeks ago, things were really terrible. But government decided to travel large to Dubai Expo to go and showcase what tourism product did we send to Dubai and what will be the international travels in return. We need to have that discussion. Otherwise, then, it was an avenue that we went to with money.
Palgrave, yesterday people were asking the coupons we are going down by 50%. Really, how much would this translate into the savings? And I've heard some figures being churned out, 50, 60 million Ghana cedis. And I was wondering how much we should be told how much we spend on these items annually, and we are not getting to hear that. And yesterday, if you listen to the argument by the minority, they were asking that indeed, really, how much did we spend in 2020, the year of COVID-19, on fuel coupons? In 2021, how much did we spend also in that regard? And he just mentioned the travel to Dubai Expo. He's alleging that the government went large to Dubai. And really, in this difficult time where we are taking some of these austerity measures to make some savings, and on the other side, we are engaging in some of these activities also, it doesn't add up.
So let me first debunk the Dubai, because I didn't see the government.
You were part of the trip?
No, I don't travel much. I don't travel
he
much.
speaks on security, so his room doesn't go out.
Yes, but really, I think that the Dubai, the benefits of Dubai, really, you notice that there's been a deal that has been signed for the refurbishment of Trade Fair, close to about 11 billion or so, thereabout.
That is a private entity.
But the deal was locked.
Let's place matters in context. Trade Fair is no longer is been leased to a private entity.
Honorable, allow him. When he's done, I'll let you interject. You've been on the floor for too long.
Oh, really?
I think that the important thing is the revenue that comes into the country. I mean, either private or government. It's a collective effort of government, because with the real role of government is to create the enabling environment. And I think that the number of benefits that will come from Dubai, which we are yet to see. I mean, the first of it is what I just mentioned, that Honorable is interjecting. So 11 billion is coming to Trade Fair, I mean, which is good money, jobs will be created and all of that. Industries will be able to be built up. A number of things will happen within that environment. In terms of fuel coupons and the real value of it, I think that we should appreciate the gesture of what government seeks to do. The real gesture of what government seeks to do is to share with the good people of this country how we are all being responsible for the resources that we have available, and how the people that have an opportunity to govern. I don't think that.
Have you also heard, for those who are contributing in this discussion of ensuring that we reduce or cut wastage, to go down a little in terms of our usage of V8s and this, because really some of these appointees are in V8 engines, and this is at a cost to the state, and we are coming down 50%. Can we have a way of, because if really the person is using his private car, or there is a bus system for government workers and entities, it's also going to provide some savings.
So you see, the beginning point is that 50% of fuel has been cut. Obviously, that impacts everything. It's like an entire value chain. And so if you drive a V8 and your 50% has been cut, and you have an alternative vehicle, that's what you will use. I mean, that might not necessarily be the conversation that will be spoken about publicly for everyone to know. But really, that's, I mean, if your fuel is cut, it means that you are burden sharing. And that's the real goal. And I think that the real goal, like I was saying, is for the Ghanaian people to appreciate the gestures that government is making, because then all of us are saying that it's a collective responsibility to ensure that we safeguard the challenges that has been rated at as a result of what is happening globally. So 50% cut on fuel, I think it's extremely commendable, because if this was in another regime, I'm not too sure what they would have done. Because you see, as we keep holding these conversations,
NDC took 10% of its appointees to build chips compounds in this country. Parliament, members of Parliament, they didn't support.
Allow him.
Honorable interjects me and makes me lose my thoughts.
I apologize.
Thank you, Honorable.
But even before you continue with your submission, there's also the concern that, of course, he also raised it, that duplication of function. For example, you find one state agency, it has 3 deputy chief executives or director generals. You have one ministry that has 3 spokespersons.
I'm not sure.
I mean, they exist. They exist.
Special assistants.
No, I haven't. I beg to differ. I'm not sure I've seen and a high level of the director generals. No, I mean, it's always one particular director general and then a deputy. You understand?
3 deputy ministers.
No, I haven't seen.
Really?
I haven't seen places of that.
Really?
If there are examples, you can bring to me.
Trade is one.
You see, trade ministry is what drives our industrialization agenda. And
I thought you said you haven't seen any.
Oh no, but then you have reminded me.
Minister of Finance, four ministers of state, 2 deputies, 1 minister of state in charge of finance, and the finance minister himself.
They are managing the economy. Honorable. You know, so clearly, I mean, it's really the management of the economy that brings about these high level of technocrats who need to help mitigate the challenges that we are facing. And like I stated, yes, these measures that have been put in place 20% cut, obviously it's not going to be an easy decision even for the person at the receiving end. And I think that we need to have an appreciation of what that looks like. I mean, if your salary has been cut by 20% and you've made plans for that salary, obviously it means that you need to review your plans, and that's where we are going to. So 20% cut on appointees, state-owned agencies, CEOs, ministers on their salary, 50% fuel cut, 50% on conferences in terms of per diems, all of that 50% cut, 30% cut on the executive, 20% cut on Council of State, 30% cut on expenditure. And I think that these are good measures within the short term to see how we can be able to mature up our economy very well.
I'm going to give you the final thoughts on this subject.
Some are elected, not all are appointed. Are you touching the wages of the elected ones?
The Council of State themselves
they
came forward and stated it.
So your final thoughts quickly on this subject.
Yes, my thoughts are that the conduct of the government doesn't give me hope that the measures they have announced will bring any effect in terms that it's been,
even when we are getting 3.5 billion,
it's been eulogized. It should tell us how many these persons are. We want to know how many appointees. Give us the figure. Let's interrogate it. We've been asking government to give us the number of presidential staffers. It's become a tug of war, and that is a statutory requirement. They are shying away from bringing it to Parliament. We want to know.
So the minister says the e-levy will pass by the end of the month.
Minority.
I asked a question about that yesterday at the press briefing. Maybe there's been some engagement with the minority after the town hall meetings to rally support for the e-levy.
Let me make this point. Fundamentally, the minority has never stopped the government from presenting its e-levy on the floor.
The minority says it will not support
you see, when you are reading the mind of the minority to take a decision, that is up to you.
No, but you've made it clear you will not support it.
But why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I tell you what I will do? If you are afraid of what I will do because of that, you are running away from conducting government business. That is your problem. You can't be prejudging my intentions and deciding against things that you want to do. Minority has never stopped them. The report is on the floor. It's been laid, but how to move it, how to debate it, adopt it, and move to consideration stage of the e-levy is their problem.
Will you support it now?
Why are you asking me that? I've told you that I won't. My people in South Dayi say I shouldn't. If I do, they will replace me. They will bring another MP.
So are you balancing the interests of the people of South Dayi and the national interest of ensuring that
which one is the national interest?
The revenue?
This government has 24 different tax hands in this country. 24. I've tweeted it. 24. This government is, according to GRA,
24 taxes, really?
Yes. I will give.
You can share the tweet with us.
Yes, I'll give it to you.
I'm not sure that the
24. I will tell you no lie. 24. I've named all of them. This government in 2021 said they've exceeded their revenue target. GRA. Didn't GRA do that? Didn't GRA tell the whole world that they have exceeded their revenue target for 2021? Because of that, government was able to project from a 70 billion projection in 2021, now they can project 100 billion revenue. If a government can do that and cut down on its expenditure estimates or projections, there should be no problem. But when you are not cutting down on your expenditure, that is why you run yourself into problems. So we don't have problem with revenue. If you project a revenue of about 100 billion, and e-levy 7 billion topmost, you are not getting that. Shouldn't you be able to run the economy with 93 billion? And when you reduce your expenditure cuts. But they created the impression that there's no money apart from e-levy. How is that possible? How is that possible that government can claim that there's no money unless they take e-levy? It is that claim that is shocking the conscience of the nation. That you make a revenue projection of 100 billion, inclusive of 7 billion e-levy topmost. We want to take e-levy out. You can make a revenue projection of 90 billion Last year, what was their revenue projection? What was government's revenue projection last year? It's not 90 billion. So if you want to make revenue projection 190 billion minus e-levy this year, can't you run the economy efficiently? Last year we got about 67 billion from GRE in tax revenue.
That's quite low, though.
No,
it is low. If you look at our peers in the sub-region, we are still doing less than 13% GDP.
So improve your tax collection system. This government said they've created million jobs, over millions and millions of jobs. I'm not saying it. They've come to parliament to say. But they still insist that the 2.5 million people who are paying direct tax as far back as 2010, 2013, 2014, they are the same people paying tax. So the millions of jobs that they created, what is happening to them? Why are they not paying tax? It tells you that they didn't create any millions of jobs.
Break, but, Palgrave,
it tells you that they haven't created any jobs.
We are going for a break. You don't want to respond? Okay. Let's go for this break. We return to read your messages and continue the discussion. We have less than 10 minutes to wrap up. Stay with me. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's time to read your messages. Of course, you need to be part of the conversation. we have to pick your thoughts and also share with our members of parliament. Maybe some questions for our members of parliament. Let's start with this one. He says, good morning. I'm Emmanuel Enchi, watching and enjoying the show live from Sunyani. Please, I earnestly seek clarification. One, what's the Nana Addo Bawumia-led MPP government meant for Ghana beyond aid that they have borrowed more than all the previous governments put together? Is that really the case? If you look at the numbers, we check that. 2, has the government been delivering the $1 million per constituency it promised all this while since 2017? Palgrave, that's a question for you if you want to answer. This one says, good morning. I bought a bag of fertilizer at Hohoi for 400 Ghana cedis just a week ago. And this from Yao. And this one says, he's coming from Kotoku. MPP government thinks they have the men and know all, but just a failure. Still go about deceiving Ghanaians with no shame. And that's according to him. Good morning, Mr. Host. I'm Emmanuel Adair calling from Oyarifa. Please ask the two honorables how they feel for men's gold costumes for customers that he's trying to say there who are suffering. Of course, it's not nice how men's gold customers, but of course we know they've also been engaging, the company has been engaging in illegality, and you can't fault the regulator for taking such an active position. I'm watching you live from Asian City, Doha. Why do all MPP appointees under Nana Addo intellectual liars that he said? Okay, that's according to him. This MPP man, tell him to stop lying on the international television. He's sharing his views, and you cannot term that as lies. If you have counter views to what he's saying, of course you can also share your view, but we don't encourage some of these language on the state platform. Good morning, Honorable. It's making sense, and Akufo-Addo, the mismanagement of funds and corruption is too much, leading to the state of the economy. Please let Palgrave and his government know that Ghanaians are not happy at all about Akufo-Addo's bad governance, and that's coming from Boakye from Adenta. This one, the message is not in. Hi, I'm Abdul Malik Dansoman. Ghanaians has to put to notice that the MPP members are just to introduce comedies in Ghana. They know nothing about economic management. They are like women only. Their mouth is harder. Women's mouth, you can't say the mouth of women is harder. Women are also competent in that's ironical. And this one says, hello, I'm actually enjoying the lecture by Honorable Eche. I think that's not for our platform. Let's move on to our next one. He said, what then this MP said about the banks having liquidity problem is palpable falsehood. It is either he's ignorant about how banks work or he's being mischievous. What he said can cause a run on the banks and create chaos in the country. It is unfortunate he's being shielded from proving what he said. Each branch of any bank has an overnight holding cash limit. That is the amount they can hold overnight. This is because all cash received is sent to BOG to settle clearing and interbank obligations. It is not prudent to hold cash in your vaults and go borrow from another bank to settle your obligations. So if he went to his branch and they had just repatriated cash to BOG and they had not received any deposit to serve during that time, he cannot make that. So he's basically saying that that is not entirely a problem. Of course, we stopped him from mentioning the bank here because we don't want to do bad publicity for the bank, as we cannot independently confirm the claim that the member of parliament is making on the show. So that is standard practice. We will not allow him to mention the bank here. So how much is cement bag? How much is cement bag? Somebody is also asking, trying to talk about the manner in which prices of goods and services have risen. Good afternoon, Doji from Kaswa. Please tell the MPP man that they should bring back the toll booth. And let me read this last one. You don't have much time. He said, this one is quite long. He said, hello, I'm actually enjoying the lecture. That's one. We've read this before. And I think that's all for now. We don't have much time to read all the messages, but please do send your messages and be part of the conversation each time that Weekly Press is on. We go for a break. We return to finalize the program for today. Of course, the Black Stars, we are told, and we know, are in Kumasi to face the Nigerian counterpart, and we are hoping that the Black Stars will win convincingly so that when we go to Nigeria, it wouldn't be much of a problem for us. So stay with us. We go for a break. We return. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's still Weekly Press Review, number one wrap-up analysis program. We've been discussing the Ghanaian economy, of course. The much-anticipated press briefing by the finance minister came off yesterday. He announced sweeping spending cuts to ease pressure on the public purse, and that has resulted in discussions and analysis of whether this will really make impact and help resolve the challenges facing the Ghanaian economy. We have some 2 minutes to wrap up the program. I'll go to my guests and pick their final thoughts on how we can provide the needed relief to Ghanaians. Palgrave, you heard the minority, and of course some analysts are not convinced with the measures that it will not really make much impact in terms of easing the pressure on the citizenry as a result of the global factors, including our local factors as well. So your final thought on how government is moving to address these concerns?
So thank you. I think my final thoughts are that the Ghanaian people should get up their loins because we are not in ordinary times, and it's primarily because of a number of things that have happened globally. President Danquah is very confident of ensuring that the country goes forward in its stability as it relates to the economy. If you realize, the press conference was stabbed building forward better. And so as we put together these measures, we believe that within the shortest possible appreciable time, we'll be able to regain our gains.
Okay, thank you very much. Rockson, how is the minority supporting government in this regard? The ultimate interest is the ordinary Ghanaian.
Yes, I have spoken about the conduct of the government. If you want support from the minority, you should be exhibiting that in conduct. In fact, I intentionally brought this yesterday, just yesterday in Parliament. Government is granting as much as 30 million euros in tax exemptions.
What's stopping Parliament from passing the amended tax exemption bill?
Why?
Because yesterday the minister as part...
I've just read it. As part of his revenue measures, paragraph 30. And then he says that he will impress upon Parliament to fast-track the passage of the e-levy bill, tax exemptions bill, and fees and charges bill. That is government business. We have always been in Parliament ready to do government business. Government has people who lead its business in Parliament. If they bring the business, we'll do it. As we speak, Parliament has adjourned till Tuesday. It is just about midday. Why are we adjourning at midday when we have business to do? So you can't blame Parliament. If you don't bring the business, if you don't have business for us to do, we'll go home. The person who should bring the business is government.
Okay.
So two, how do you how do you cry about money and yet you are giving as much as 30 million euros on tax exemptions?
We do not have time to interrogate.
And finally, government said they will also implement the no duty, no exit policy at the NPS. Does it mean that people are still clearing goods from the port without paying duty?
No, it doesn't mean.
No? I am not saying it. They said they will now. You see, where is it? It says immediately enforce the no duty, no exit policy at NPS terminal. It presupposes that people are still clearing goods without paying the requisite duty.
We do not have much time to interrogate this matter. It will be a subject of discussion.
No, he stated it. There's no interrogation.
Let's do what's put us together as a people. Of course, you are clad in Black Stars jersey, representing and displaying the rich Ghanaian colors on the show. Of course, we have a crucial encounter this evening, and we have to win. It's a must for us to win this game, so that when we go to Alata, we will
have to be in a comfortable position before we get to Alata.
In a comfortable lead.
Before we get to Alata.
Let's cross to Kumasi because we have Emmanuel Edujemfi. He's with Sports Plus here, of course, the leading sports channel in the country. He's been monitoring event in Kumasi and will tell us how the city is bracing itself up for tonight's crucial encounter. Emmanuel, if you can hear me, how is Kumasi faring and preparing for tonight's game?
Many thank you, Sani. The euphoria has been building up gradually. Yesterday, it was all there, but right from this morning up to this particular point in time, the fans really are getting into the group, they are getting into the mood, and expecting a very good performance from the Black Stars in this evening's encounter against the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
And from the camp of Black Stars, what have you gathered this morning in terms of their preparation for tonight's encounter?
Well, it's quite unfortunate. It is possible that the Black Stars will lose or miss the services of Daniel Kopitre, the man from St. Pauli. This particular season, he's been an amazing form for St. Pauli in the Bundesliga too, and they are making a push for an appearance in the German Bundesliga next season. He scored 10 goals in 24 matches, but he did not play with the team yesterday. So it is looking likely that Daniel Kopitre will be missing out in this evening's encounter. And again, Edmond Ado, he's totally ruled out of action for this evening. But of course, apart from these two players, every particular player is fit and ready for tonight's action. The coach of the side, Otuado, yesterday in a press briefing, intimated that even though the Nigerians are quite good on paper, on the field of play, matches between the Black Stars of Ghana and Nigeria are quite different. And so he's expecting a wonderful performance from his side in this evening's encounter against Nigeria.
The coach has spoken. The Nigerian side also, you have gathered a lot. But from where you sit as a sports analyst, what do you make of our chances in tonight's game?
Sani, it is very difficult. Very, very, very difficult, especially when your top four strikers have all scored 5 goals this season. Jordan Ayew in 25 games has scored 1 goal. Christopher Nchege in 24 matches has scored 1 goal. Felix Afnajan in 40 matches has scored 2 goals. Kwesi Ottebright in 8 matches has scored 1 goal. Victor Osimhen alone for Nigeria, he played for Napoli in the Italian top flight. He scored 11 goals so far this season. So it tells you the quality the Nigerians bring on board. And he's not playing alone. I mean, they're quite an array of talent on the side of the Nigerians. Samuel Chukwueze, Moses Simon, Sadiq Umar, Odion Igalo, Emmanuel Dennis, Ademola Lukman, Ahmed Musa, the express man. All these guys are on the side of the Nigerians. So on paper, it is quite clear that the Nigerians look very, very, very strong.
But on the other side, are you hopeful of the Black Stars upsetting the Nigerians, despite the fact that they have players who seem to have scored in their respective leagues?
Sani, come again. I didn't quite get that.
I'm asking whether you see chances of the Black Stars upsetting the Nigerians, looking at the history between us and the fact that when it comes to a Ghana-Nigeria clash, it's not really about the quality of the existing players that you have. A lot come into play.
Last night, for instance, North Macedonia played against Italy, who are the champions of Europe. And North Macedonia signed the European champion by 1-0. And so in football, anything is possible. And so never discount the Black Stars, even though on paper the Nigerians look very, very strong. And indeed, the last time Nigeria beat the Black Stars of Ghana was in 2006. And Ghana have won 3 of the last matches, the last 4 matches against Nigeria. And so, even though the stats may not look glamorous on paper, matches against Nigeria are quite different. And so don't be surprised at if the Stars are able to win this evening's encounter.
Emmanuel, in your interaction with the Americans and the Ghanaians who have trooped from all regions to support the Black Stars, what have they been telling you?
You know, the Kumasi people love football. And so they are happy that for the first time in so many years, the Black Stars are playing at the Babaya Sports Stadium. The euphoria right from last night when the Stars were playing there, they have been there in their numbers to cheer on the team. And we are expecting such a massive attendance. I spoke to the PR of the National Sports Authority earlier this morning, and he told me that 80% of the tickets have been purchased. So he tells me that we're going to have almost a full packed stadium. As far as the fans are concerned, they are going to be in their numbers. And even at 8 a.m. this morning, some fans have started trooping into the stadium. So don't be surprised at all if you see a massive attendance in Kumasi. And Kumasi, I mean, they love football and they love their Black Stars. Even though the Stars have not been particularly exciting recently, they are ready to support the team and they are ready to attend this match.
Emmanuel, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on what's happening in Kumasi as far as the preparation for tonight's crucial encounter between the Black Stars of Ghana and the Super Eagles of Nigeria is concerned. That's all we have for you in today's edition of Weekly Press Review. Please, if you can't go to Kumasi, be by your set tonight. Pray for the Black Stars so that we come out of this match victorious, despite the fact that they seem to have a stronger team. My name is Sani Rahman. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Do join us same time next week as we come your way with all the major headlines in the course of the week. Enjoy your weekend.